I found this antique washstand on the side of the road. Can we save it and make it beautiful again? My name is Sarah, and I like to take things that are ugly and beat up or pulled out of the trash and make them beautiful again. Welcome to my channel. I always start by looking over a piece and seeing, is it sturdy? Is it structurally sound and wobbly or not? And this piece is pretty good. Are there huge nicks and scratches in it? This one, it looks like it had a door at one point. You can see where the hinges were and the magnet went onto the frame here. And that's obviously gone, and I am not about to rebuild a door, so I have to decide what I want to do with all that. And just seeing the nicks and scratches, which most of these, if I'm painting, can be filled in with putty. If I want to strip and stain, if there's nice wood underneath, this plays a factor because I can't really fill and stain over much, but you can fill and paint over about anything. So once I've given this a look over, I can decide what I want to do with this. I first want to figure out if the top, at least, is good wood underneath all this paint. It apparently has about 3 layers, this brown and then a green and then a white. And I'm guessing it was probably wood originally from the little that I know about this type of furniture. So I'm just going to scrape off the paint and see how the wood looks underneath. And once I got a little bit of a view, I don't feel like this would have been very nice wood. It just seemed blah. And maybe I didn't scrape enough to get a really good view. I don't know. But I decided this is a lot of paint. I don't want to strip it. It's already been painted. I'm just going to come up with an idea of how I want to paint this. As always, you want to clean a piece really good. I always first vacuum it, kind of dust it out, get the big chunks out, and then I go back with a wet rag with some type of a degreaser on it and wipe it down. I even started using a screwdriver to get the corners of drawers to just really almost detail clean this piece. Make sure all the gunk's off so that it is ready for painting. I just use a simple wood filler to fill all my holes as long as they're pretty shallow. I obviously need to fill in the hole that I created by scraping the paint off and then just go through, find all the dings and nicks and fill them in. Now, with the big gaps that I have from where the hinges were, probably it would be best to use something like Bondo because it's a pretty good size hole. But I like to avoid using Bondo. It smells really bad. And I just wanted this to go kind of fast. So I did 2 layers. I filled in a good amount of these holes, let it dry, kind of smooth sanded it a little bit, and then filled them in again because you almost want a buildup of more so you can sand it down. I did okay. This piece did not come with hardware, but these holes are pretty big, so I'm going to fill them in, and I'm going to find something that I have that works. I'll probably still need these holes, but I'll just re-drill a smaller hole that works with my hardware. I'm going to sand this piece down pretty good. Usually when I scuff sand, I just kind of go over quickly, but because this has paint that has chipped, I need to smooth out every area that's chipped so that when I paint it, you can't see the edges of the paint. And 2, if anything might still be willing to chip off, be loose, I need to get it knocked off with the sandpaper. So this is a little more intense, prep sanding than I do on something that just needs a quick scuff sand. But it's very important. I have learned the hard way. If you don't sand well, your final product won't look great because you'll see all the wobbliness or the chip edges after you paint. Just a quick reminder, when you are flipping furniture, you clean it when you get it, you do all your sanding and your prepping, and then you wipe it down again right before you paint it. I'm using Fusion mineral paints. It's like a creamy white. It's called Raw Silk. And they do recommend that if you're going from a dark, like this dark brown to a white, to use their primer. I have like a Kills primer, but I don't have Fusion Mineral Paints primer. So I didn't want to prime with a different primer. So I just decided to go for it, which it took 3 coats to get a solid white. And then when I got it done and put the drawers in and looked at it, I decided solid white looked terrible and racked my brain of what to do about it. And I decided to go ahead and distress it since it is an antique piece, even though it's not my preferred style, but I do appreciate the distressed look. I think it's very artistic and I appreciate it and I like it, but I'd never done it, I don't think. So I had to look up how to distress furniture. And it turns out that you're not really supposed to paint something like solid. It seems like you're supposed to kind of do a light coating so you kind of see the other color coming through. It kind of gives it more of that distressed antique look. So I'm kind of kicking myself that I ended up going with 3 coats. I wish I had thought about this at coat 1 or 2. I think it would have looked a lot more appropriate or antique-y or, distressed. But, oh well, it is what it is, and all these furniture flip projects, you kind of learn as you go, and maybe once you've had like 100 or 1,000 flips under your belt, maybe you can catch this stuff ahead of time. But anyway, I'm always learning, and I don't mind. It's fun. I pulled this out of the trash, and other than my time and the paint, I'm not really putting a lot of money into it, so it's fine. I decided to use a clear wax top coat since this is a type of a chalk paint, Fusion Mineral Paints. I don't like the chalky feel without the top coat, even though this paint technically has its built-in top coat. So I just use a brush and wax on, and then I let it sit for about 30 minutes and then come back with a rag and I buff it off. And it takes, you work at it a little bit to get it, kind of rub it in so it kind of gets a harder top and a little bit of a shine, and then you're good. I had enough knobs left over from changing out the hardware in my kitchen. However, I didn't have the right length of bolt for those, so I did have to run to the hardware store and get those. But if you know what size you need, that's not too hard to get. And then, yes, I had to drill every single hole back that I had filled on all these drawers, but it's super simple. When the markings are already there, you just pop the hole back in, no measuring needed. When I went to put this hardware on, I realized that my screw head for the bolt is like getting sucked into the hole, so it was a bigger hole than what I was realizing. And so I would just put a washer on to make it a little bigger, and while maybe a bigger washer would have been better, this is what I had, and it worked so that I could firmly put my knob on and it not pull the screw all the way through. I felt like this needed a little something more. It seemed too plain, so I got some contact paper I had and am putting it on the bottom of this just to give a little pop of interest. As we wrap it up and go into the final reveal, I did want to mention that the reason I said this is an antique piece is because of the joinery used on the drawers. This is called Cove and Pin or Nap joinery, and it was done by machines in America between 1871 and 1900. So that dates this piece at a minimum of 123 years old. So pretty cool find. Pretty cool joinery in my opinion. So let's look at what we started with, this brown blob of a mess, and see what it's turned into, kind of a French provincial washstand. So enjoy, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.